Hey guys, Joe Pye here with Advanced Innovations in Austin, Texas. This is coming out directly to SDJB111. Left me a message about getting a new Kurt vise. Kind of touched off on it in the last video I posted. So this is more in-depth. If you have a Kurt vise and you've never taken it apart, cleaned it, or know how it works, take a look at, we're going to break down a backside of a 675 and show you what's on the inside and where you should probably clean and lubricate. Let's take a look. Okay guys, this is a Kurt D675 vise. It's a very high quality vise. There's a billion of them out there, and if you've never had one, never had a chance to use one, it's got a pretty good clamping range. I think this one has about 6.5 inches, maybe 7 inches. But if you want to hold a big piece of material like this, you're pretty much out of luck. You think you're going to take the vise off and strap it to the table. Well, I'll tell you what, you see these screws right here that hold the vise jaws to the carriers and to the stationary side? If you don't have a piece of 3/8 little hex stock laying around, let's stick that in there, and you can use that. You can turn it real easy and you don't need any special tooling. That allows you to take your jaw and fix it to the back side of the vise. I'm not going to screw these all down to save some time, but now you can use the entire top surface of your vise as a registration point, and when you open up your vise, guess what? Boom. Now you can hold large material in that vise. Just like that. I'm going to take this jaw back off for a second and crank the movable side in, because I had a viewer ask me a question and I really kind of skipped over the real details here. But I want to make sure that I'm fairly thorough in my response. These end holes are specifically for attaching things to this jaw or bringing the inside jaw to the outside. But there's a third hole in the center that's also threaded. So don't be deceived, because it is threaded. It's threaded because it's a set screw. And this one's pretty tight. There you go. Now you can lift your jaw off, and right up here in the front, I don't know if you realize this or not, but in the corner of your Kurt jaw, there's these two little circular undercuts right there. And if the jaw's been off before or wasn't properly installed in the beginning, there's supposed to be a rubber O-ring in here that keeps this jaw, in an exaggerated format of course, riding back and forth like this. Since you have a wedge surface here and a wedge surface here, when you clamp down on it, those rubber O-rings compress and the jaw rolls forward ever so slightly, but it really does increase the downward pressure on the parallels. If you ever take one of these apart, down inside here, there's this little half moon shaped looking thing that you want to dig out, and you want to make sure that this is clean. So see all that crap on there? That's terrible. You want to get that out of there. Now through the magic of video, I'm going to just wave my finger and that's going to be clean. Okay, now that it's all nice and clean, the surfaces that you want to make sure are nice and clean are inside this wedge right here. Make sure that's all good and clean and chip free. And naturally, the runway where the vise jaw is going to sit. Put this guy back together. If the pocket down inside is nice and clean, and the little radial wedge is present and nice and clean, this is where you wish you had 3 hands or some really heavy grease. So grease this thing up real good if you can. This is a high pressure grease that I use for my tool bits on the CNC. Stick it in there and roll it around until you see it's all over the place. And if everything's in good shape, nothing's going to move when you tilt the jaw. Can you see that? It's kind of dark in there, but now you want to get this back onto this hook and down onto the surface in one smooth move. Try not to dislodge that. That would not be a good thing. I'm going to put a little bit of oil on here before I do. Make sure everything goes back together nice and smooth. And I wish I had the O-rings to stick back down in that corner right there, but I do not. Okay, I'm going to put the front in first and come back to it and pull. There we go. Now as you tighten down on this set screw, you're going to see this blue casting here start to stand up as it levels out. So see if you can pick up on it. There it is. You see it move? This piece right here. Now you can torque this thing down and you won't be doing yourself any favors if it's too tight. So just snug is good. You don't have to torque it down like you're trying to do a head bolt on a V8. Just snug is fine. Okay, now you're back in business. One of the other features that a lot of Curt users don't realize is when the vise was new, it came with a piece of shim stock that if you slide in, you see it coming in over here? You can actually get that under your movable side jaw too. There we go. And completely block out any access of chips to the screw area on the jaw. The slot is really narrow and you might have to finagle it in, but once it goes in, you have protection. Not everybody uses them, not everybody knows they exist, but they do exist. So if the jaw's not closing all the way, make sure that both of these guys are there. Know that you can put this on either side of the jaw. Same thing with the back one. If you need an extra 2 inches, put the back one back here. Put a little bit of oil under it, keep some oil on your screw. Periodic maintenance on a Curt 675 and 688. That's all it takes. All right, well, that's pretty messy inside, but thank God you have a magic wand and you can snap your fingers and all the chips go away. Big suggestion, when you do that, wear an apron, wear a face shield, whatever. If you're going to put the air hose down anywhere in that stuff and blow it, it's going to come out of there in 12 different directions and it's going to get all over you. So if you do that, eye protection, please. And that's a good point. You know, if you ever watch a video where a guy's got a wedding ring on, some of these old timers are thinking they're above the injury curve because they're old and they've made it that long without a cut. You see somebody wearing a wedding ring, a watch band, long sleeves, hair dangling down, a necktie, dang them, give them a thumbs down. If you ever see me doing that, give me a thumbs down too. Safety first. Okay, see inside of a 675, a 688 looks almost exactly the same. Gives a little more push, make sure it's all clean. If you don't have to use compressed air, don't until the very end. Brush it out, vacuum it out, wipe it out, stroke the whole thing back and forth, and you should come up with the product that's going to be nice and smooth. That little O-ring trick, if you're buying a new 675 or 688 Curt vise, put those little O-rings in the leading edge because it does help with the cantilever, which helps pull the part down against the parallels. And you know there's nothing more frustrating than hitting a piece with a hammer and it keeps bouncing off the parallels. That can be quite frustrating. If that happens with a Curt vise, there's a couple things you can do. First of all, make sure that the part is square enough that it's going to sit down on the parallels. If it doesn't and you really have no option, then use the tallest parallels you can. When you reduce the grip on the sides of the vise, the part has a better chance of actually sitting on the parallels. That's all I got for you. Quickie, in and out. SDJB111, this is for you. I hope you answers your questions. If it doesn't, feel free to leave me a comment. Hope it helps. Hope you got something out of it. Joe Pye, Advanced Innovations, Austin, Texas. I'm out.